Hello, everyone. My name is Brady Kreitzer. For the last 15 years, I've been a historian of the American frontier, studying the Revolutionary frontier. That is to say, the first American West, the Trans-Appalachian region across the Appalachian Mountains, which is today Western Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, and Kentucky. And I've been very fortunate to have some great success in this field. I'm the author of 8 books. I've had multiple television series, and I stay very active in my field in terms of articles and, of course, teaching at Robert Morris University. There's been a project that's been very near and dear to my heart over the last few years, and I've always debated on how to present that project in the best way. And it's been a narrowly focused micro history of one creek here in Western Pennsylvania, which I think really embodies the entire history of the 18th century American frontier in the fullest way. That creek is called Robinson Run. Now, Robinson Run is one creek out of many in the vast Trans-Appalachian West, but it's a pretty remarkable little place in the 18th century. It's one creek with 3 families, and out of that single community will come upwards of 25 Revolutionary War veterans and numerous participants in both the French and Indian War, or the 7 Years' War, and the Whiskey Rebellion. That little 4-mile creek packs a lot of history into it, and that's going to be the focus of this research study. Now, let's start with talking about what a microhistory really is. There's really 2 types of ways to understand any historical subject, and I'll make it very easy. There's the big picture, a macro history, and there's the small picture, a micro history. And this is going to be a micro history, and I have to admit, I've never done anything like this before. In fact, I don't think any historian has completed an entire research project of this magnitude exclusively on YouTube before. But I want to give you a window into what we do as professionals and maybe add some insight into your own research. A macro history is studying something big, like a battle or a presidential election or an entire war, to help you understand a time period. But a micro history, which is what we're going to do here, is going to take a very different approach. This time, we're going to look at one single community out of many, and we're going to follow it over a period of about 4 decades. We're going to study the time period from roughly 1760 to about the year 1800. And even though we're looking really narrowly focused at a place like Robinson Run and the community that's there, you can actually glean a ton of information from that one study. Now, I've studied the big battlefields before. Like I said, my books have been featured in the Wall Street Journal, USA Today, the Washington Post, Fox Nation. I've been on NBC Peacock and INSP. I've done it all in terms of history, but I've never done something like this, something that's really just for me. And maybe some use for you, obviously, is the hope. But how much can you learn from following just one tiny settlement of people? Well, according to my research that I've already done, I think it's quite a lot. So a study of Robinson Run, who these people were, what motivated them, and how they changed this region, and overall how they influenced a greater sense of change in America, is really what I'm interested in. If you're going to use a macro history, you have to get used to using sources that you're not typically familiar with. You have to, of course, consult archives, muster rolls, and land deeds. That's a given. But you also have to talk to people. And one of the things that I want to do in this series is sit down with the descendants of many of the communities of people that lived here. Believe it or not, in this small, relatively just I think 5 square mile area, they're descendants of all of the people we're going to talk about and study in this show. And they have a lot to offer. Stories from their great-great-grandparents, artifacts that have been passed down, you name it. We're going to look at all of it. I want to trace their origins here in the New World, where they first settled. I'm going to take you with me. And I want to journey all the way to where they ultimately end up. in the beautiful, desolate wilderness of Western Pennsylvania. Now, this is a tumultuous story. It's a story that involves heroism in battle, but also tragic loss. There will be family members that pass away in the story, some due to natural causes, and some that are actually attacked during the revolution and killed. I won't tell you who till we get there. It's also a story of settlement. How do you transform a wilderness into a productive piece of farmland? And even though we don't think about it very often, who was helping do that? Believe it or not, of the people we talk about in this video series, there will be enslaved peoples with them. And we don't often think about enslaved peoples on the frontier, and certainly not in the northern states and colonies. But they are here, and we will do our best to find out about them and get to know them. We're going to talk about religion in this section. We're going to talk about religious feuds. This devolves almost into a Hatfield and McCoy situation as the years go by. And we're going to end with, again, the year 1800 and really see a community that's vibrant and flourishing. And I think it's really important to understand that these people that came here risked everything. They left a land they were familiar with to come to a place that, really might as well have been on the moon by most of our standards today. Hundreds of miles from familiar territory, but they had their family and they were close together. Now, I foresee this being maybe 10 episodes in this series, but it could be more. I'm not going to put a ceiling on this because as I research, I want to take you with me. I want you to see what I'm dealing with and what I'm seeing. And I want you to see how a historical research survey, a micro history like this, is put together. Now, as we start here in the introduction, I want to talk a little bit about the families we're going to be studying. We are going to be looking at 1, 2, 3 families that settle along the 4-mile stretch of creek we call Robinson Run. And we're going to follow them, as I said, for about a period of 40 years. And at the end, you'll probably get to meet some of them, at least, their gravestones. But we're going to see, again, where they come from, what motivates them, and what sort of trials and tribulations they experience here. And we're going to try and glean something about life on the 18th century frontier. The families we're going to talk about are going to be the Scott family, the Ewing family, and the Walker family. And we're going to introduce all of them in their own episodes and kind of piece together the world that they live in. Again, if you come to the area of Robinson Run today, this is in Western Pennsylvania, Allegheny County, just outside of Pittsburgh, you're going to see a lot of people named Scott and Ewing and Walker. They're all still here. And that's a very real, tangible connection to the past. So this is a project that I've never done before. Quite frankly, I don't think anyone's ever done anything like this before. And I can't really put a cap on it. I don't know how it looks. We do know the research has to end at some point, but there's absolutely no hurry to end it anytime soon. We have so much to look into. So I'm excited to undertake the project. I'm excited for you to join me on this project over the next several months. And I hope we can put together and build this 18th century world the way they understood it in Robinson Run. We'll see you on the next episode.